All right, so we're live. Thank you for being here. I'm with my friend Mark K. Uh, he is me and
Yep,
him have
thanks for having me.
been friends for. Oh yeah, sorry. Um, Me and him have been friends for quite a few years. It's coming up on 5 years, and we met through Exodus 90. And so before this live stream today, I text the guys like who were part of that original pod for Exodus 90. I asked if they wanted to be on here to talk about Exodus 90 and the benefits that we've had since then. Um, and Mark volunteered. Everybody else was busy, or at least I'm assuming they were busy. But we're all family men, so that's just where we're at.
Yep.
But I guess I don't know, Mark. Do you want to say anything? Because I felt like I like took your intro.
Oh yeah, we met in the we did Exodus the year that COVID broke out. So yeah, we had the interesting experience, right, with our first Exodus, during lockdowns and all that. So and we were
we got
not only
the
that, but we were like the last minute group, right? So we had the fun of meeting each other like the day before or something like that. And no experience with each other beforehand. Just a random group of guys getting together and yeah, having a blast.
yeah, and like so I keep whenever I go back to thinking about when we first met. I remember going at the church, because we had to find the room, and I remember seeing one of the guys, and he was wearing red and green hair, like he had red and green dyed hair, and I just remember going, um, oh, actually, I'm just gonna say, well, I don't. All right, I'm not gonna say his name because I didn't ask him, but but I was like, oh my gosh, like, do I just have a bunch of liberals? Like, and when I say liberals, I mean uh, like politically liberal, not Catholic liberal, because to do Exodus 90, like not to remove yourself from the conservative and liberal description, it's very much like you're signing up for boot camp. Like, or at least that's how I felt going into it. I was like really nervous getting into it because I was like, oh man, like Father Polis just like threw us all together. Like he just threw me in a group. I don't know these guys, and they've already met. So like, why am I like, what's gonna happen? Um,
Oh yeah, I
but anyway,
forgot you missed the pre-meeting luncheon.
yeah, and that's what but it's it's been like really yeah, it's just been really great since then. Um, so double Mark Day. So Mark Pullard is like one of the like regular guys in chat. So
Oh,
we now have
awesome.
two Marks. Yeah, we have
We're
like two Marks
multiplying.
now. Yeah, Marks multiplying. Um, but the what is it? So like I mean, for you, like, did you find it to be like scary going in, or did you like just anxious?
Honestly, I was like pretty open. I had no expectations or reservations. I had some friends that did it the year before, heard good experiences from it. I knew how challenging it would be, but I wasn't setting myself up for failure, so to speak, and was pretty much open to whatever experience laid in front of me. So, um, yeah, honestly, I think that really helped from my side at least. So not having a hurdle to jump right from the get go. So um, yeah, that's been really nice.
Yeah, and what is it? I remember seeing, what was it, Matt Frad. He did an interview because that was when like Exodus 90 wasn't really known. Like it was known, but it wasn't known. Not anything like today. And I remember Matt Frad talking about it, and he said like day 22 he couldn't take the cold showers or something like that, and like he dropped, and I was just like, oh man, those cold
Yeah.
showers are gonna suck. Like I was just like, I don't want to uh doubt myself, but man, like those are going to be intense cuz like we live in Michigan, so like when we have a cold shower in January, it stays cold. Like if you take a cold shower and then you go outside, like you're going into winter. like I don't know, like textbook winter, like snow's on the ground. You may have like a wind chill of like -30. Um, uh, but like, yeah, like, so there's no warmth. But now, like, I mean, obviously there's heat and whatever, but like we're up, with technology and whatnot, but it's just um, that transition of going cold to warm because your house is heated to then back to cold just never felt good. It always like it was painful to me.
Yeah.
But like it wasn't like bad in the sense of like, because like then I really started getting into it, prompted me to look up the health benefits of getting into cold showers. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like cold showers are amazing. Like I was like, I want to
Right.
do more of these. Um, and so that's what, like, for my first Exodus 90, like that was my big what is it? That really helped me with moving forward with that. Like getting past the cold showers is just recognizing the benefits and being like, yeah, I can deal with this. Um, I don't know. That was me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it really helps that there's like the physical benefits of it too. It's not just, suffering for the sake of, self-flagellation. There's,
Right.
the secondary effect of being good for the body, but obviously the primary effect of being good for the soul, right? And if it was something that not good in either of those aspects, I feel like it would have been not good. But I think everything that we've done, at least from both aspects, really good. So
Well, and like what's like what you were saying about the secondary effects, I ended up going looking into fasting too, because part of the discipline is fasting on Wednesday and Friday. And so um looking into fasting and seeing the benefits of not eating for a certain period of time, and like looking at, okay, 6 hours, 12 hours, 18 hours, all the way up to 72 hours. And even though it doesn't require you to go up to 72 hours, what it did is it prompted me, like the disciplines prompted me to look into the health benefits of all of the, like everything that we're doing. And like you said, the first priority is to give up like what we want, to be closer to God. But it was really, for me, it was like, um I don't know, like I'm really research oriented, where it's like the more I see like the practical, not just see the practical benefits, but when I like research it and I see that that's like a valid thing, I want to do it more. Just not lately, because you'd see that I'd have a gut if I stood up. So that's that's what one of the reasons why my wife wants me to do it again.
it's the reason why it's called dad bod, right? It's like
Yeah.
something I'm experiencing too.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's that just that's a nice transition, because our family just can't went to your family's, like you just had the baptism of your child. And so um like a lot of us, like this was such a good experience for all of us that like many of us are just the godparents of each other's kids. Like just
Yeah.
all of us.
Yeah, I
Like
would say we
we're
really lucked
intermingled.
out. Yeah, we were very fortunate with our group, and I don't
Yeah.
know, maybe it was because we were like a last minute group. We had no like friendships with each other beforehand, so we were just kind of like thrown together and we're forced to kind of become friends with each other, right? And so that kind of helped form the bonds, and we were close in age relatively, and
Yeah.
obviously like similar like perspectives in terms of like life and politics even, and a lot of other aspects. So I think we're really fortunate in that perspective.
Well, I think what you said about like we didn't have any expectations going into this. Like it was I think there was only two of us that actually knew each other before going into it. Um uh And so like all of us just didn't know each other, and we didn't expect, like, it's like that unknown expectation helped, because what it did is it actually called us, or at least, like for me, like when I was with the my anchor, it really called me to be like, hey, I need to like be my best. Like it's like I called me to attention, as opposed to just being like, well, my friend knows, like I can relax a little bit. Like when I say this, like, it's not taken as
Yeah.
um what is it? Yeah, it's just not like there's an assumption of like, oh well, he'll get better at it or whatever. It's like not knowing my anchor beforehand. I was like, okay, I got to do this perfectly, and I have to do it as best as possible, because that's his expectation and that's my expectation.
Yeah, and I think it really helped not knowing each other beforehand. At least for me, like I had very little qualms with like being open with someone I didn't know, rather than like if I had a friend going into it beforehand, probably would not have, said some things to become better, right? So there would have been um, some reservations, right, if I knew some people beforehand. So I think that helped as well.
Yeah. So like yeah. Sorry, I'm just also reading chat because my wife is volunteering. Let's see. Like Mr. Papist would not like it if I picked his wake up time. I'm much more of a morning person than he is. Yeah, that would really suck. But I guess that reminds me. So like I'll bring up the for those of you watching, to kind of get it like a first hand experience. We're going to go through really quickly the disciplines, so that you understand like what is expected. And just to clarify, like the reason why we're talking about this now, even though really like January is about when it'll start, early January, is because you're going to have Advent, you're going to have Christmas, and then boom, it's going to be there. Like, and so like the timing of it is like not good. Like right now it's also like kind of weird because we have Thanksgiving coming up. So like that's going to be a little it's going to have somewhat of a confliction, but like the whole point of like talking about it now is to get you ready for when it's going to pop up in a month, in a month and a half. So January 20th is 90 days before Easter this coming year. Oh, inauguration day. That's really funny. Like that's a funny lineup. Um, so okay, yeah, we've got the let's get into it. Right here. All right. So let me blow that up just a little bit because it looks a little small. Okay. So we have I don't know, like I guess like I don't want to just necessarily read all of these. Like, do you have anything in particular that you want to talk about that was like maybe a great difficulty for you besides the cold showers? Or like what you found to be
Let's
enriching?
see here. So yeah, cold showers is like a big one, right? The fasting was also good. I'll group a bunch of these into technology use. That was the toughest one for me, at least. I'm a big
Oh,
gamer when I
actually.
have some free time, and then TV. That was also tough. Um, it was all really tough, and smartphones, just pretty much everything technology related, just going silent, right? It's like, all you do is pretty much just eat and pray and spend time with family. And I had all these distractions with every piece of technology on me, right? And it was hard to give up all that, but that was definitely my weak point.
So when it came to the solemnities that would happen and Sundays, which on those days, like as a group, you guys decide, like we decided to give up one thing, which is part of the Exodus 90. Like that's part of the the program. Did you notice that like we had to be careful what we picked, because if we picked something that was like too close to what we really wanted, it kind of called like prompted us to regress.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had to be
Yeah.
like very restrictive, right? Like if it was TV, it was only like an hour or like one movie or something like that, right? It wasn't like the whole day just binge watching, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And because like for me, like that was really hard because I think at the time, let's see, besides um one of us, I think I was the only one that was married.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
so there's two of us that were married, but like the problem was I would basically everywhere I walked, somebody was using technology and I would just have to like move away. Like somebody would be watching TV and I'd have to actually like do this so that I wouldn't catch the TV to just like watch for like 5 seconds. And it was like it really called me like it was I didn't notice how much of a problem that was, where like how much technology we were using until like Exodus 90, where it was just like, wow, like like somebody's watching it, snacks are everywhere. Like, cause I've at the time I had 3 kids. And so like, even then it was like, oh, it's snack time. It's like, all right, dad's going downstairs. Like, I'm like, I can't be anywhere around you guys.
Yeah.
um,
Actually, as you say that, it reminded me of one of my favorite things about Exodus 90. It's actually like seeing how weak I basically was, right? Just seeing all my faults, and basically you have this rubric, right? As you call it, like a boot camp, and just basically trying to become holier, right? And then there's all these things that you fail in, and just see like, hey, this is not my normal, right? There's so many things I'm failing in, and it was definitely discouraging. And I know a lot of people are discouraged by that at first, but I see it as something that's really powerful. Just getting a good look at yourself, right?
yeah. It's like when you're walking down a path and you come to a hill. It's like
Right.
the hill gets harder and it sucks, but you're like, okay, well, I know it goes down. Like I know it goes, and like I did have that effect. Like that did have an effect on me where it was like after getting past a certain point, like I absolutely did have the this is filling me up in a good way. Um, and then I totally lost it, and I have a dad bod now. 5 years
Same.
later. So now like that doesn't mean it doesn't create like per like that doesn't do lasting effects, because there have been some significant things in my life. Mark is in much better shape and much more moderate in what he does. Like um but the what is it? So like I don't want to give the impression that it's like this is being a human is messy. You're gonna fall, you're gonna regress, and um, you're gonna have people that help you to, get back on the right road with God. And I do consider the aestheticism here to be um, something that is like really needed, like for my life, like because I recognize like just reflecting on it and even talking to you now, like there's some points that I remember where it's like I need to get back to that because I'm failing now, and I know that right now, and it's mildly frustrating to say the least. Um, but let's see, just all right. So we got new people here in the chat. So hey, Alex, long time no see. Um, so yeah, it's weird. About maybe 2 years ago, I deleted all social media, but then I just ended up spending all the time I spent on social media and YouTube. So if you're watching my stuff, that's fine. But if you're watching like there's this like we actually one of our guys like Dan, he's also part of it. He's been on he was on here like a month and a half ago. Um, when it comes to like he noticed right away that like the all or nothing approach helps with getting past the, well, I said I gave up chocolate, but that doesn't mean I can't have a Skittles. Like, right? Like if you're giving up candy, like the intent is to give up all candy, not just like a particular candy, because then you leave yourself open to you leave yourself open to those snacks or those loopholes. Because what is it? We get really legalistic when we try to get down, like just as human nature, like we get really legalistic to try and do what we want to do, even though we know that like totally runs against the spirit of what we're supposed to be doing. Okay. Oh yeah, there he is. There he is. So there's Dan. He's Mr. Upside Down Man. Let's see. Yep. So last night at my Sacred Heart or Sacred Holy Art class, the women were talking about the woman version of Exodus 90. Yep, that is the that's called Magnify 90.
Well, I thought it was called Fiat something. Maybe it's something else.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like, my wife, she plans on doing Magnify 90, which is, I mean, it is a woman version of it. So I don't know if there is just another version of it that is for women.
I'd be really curious to see the differences, like, because obviously Exodus 90 is geared towards men. It's very challenging, and I think the aesthetics, the aesthetics part of it's really appealing, right, for men, especially like the challenging aspects of it. I'm curious, like how it differs for women too.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and man, I want to make a lot of jokes right now, but I'm not going to. So I'm just gonna leave it that I wanted to and I didn't. So I restrained myself. The because like I do think that when it's come to like when it comes to Exodus 90, we are being challenged, and for a lot of us, myself included, well, I don't want to say myself included quite to that, because my parish, like Father Eric, definitely like has a, I don't want to say like manly draw to him in in a weird way, but like I think like what a spiritual father should be doing, like calling men to be men, like, and I know that is just not the case for people. Like in fact, I had an interesting conversation at work today, where I spoke to a colleague of mine, and I found out he was Catholic, and he started talking about all this stuff, and a lot of it just it seems like what he's missing, like what he doesn't seem to understand or like quite pinpoint yet, because like the conversation had a lot of aspects to it, but um and he's slightly older, like maybe like 5-10 years older than me. um is that he just doesn't feel challenged. Like I could hear it in his voice where it was just like he didn't feel like um he was getting anything out of it. And like, yeah, like you're supposed to, you'll get out of it what you put in, like it's worship to God, and you're practicing your faith. But like it's like I could tell like he just didn't have that challenge in his life, and like the priest at his parish wasn't giving it to him. Now, not to say that the priest was like, so I don't want to give the impression that the priest sucks. That's not what I'm saying. His parish in particular has had like a lot of changing priests, and so like it's created a dynamic where he doesn't feel drawn because the priest keeps changing, and so like that creates a problem in itself. And that kind of goes back to the like priest crisis video that I had. So watch that. But all right, sorry, I didn't know if you wanted to say anything else in
Yeah,
regards.
maybe I'll just tie those two last points together because I think as guys we really need to be challenged by other guys, right? That's like probably the most effective way of growing, and it is probably one of the main benefits of having this as just a men's, um, exercise, right? It's we can just really get into the nitty gritty of certain things that we can, in a way, relate to each other with, and I'm glad there's a women's version out there too, where not that there's not benefit of co-ed, um, you know, exercises and whatnot, and prayer life, but having something that is mainly focused for men too, it's one of the main benefits of it.
Yeah, and like the idea of fraternity too, like specifically that part, because there's three parts of Exist 90. It's prayer, fraternity, and aestheticism. And this idea of like being like holding the feet to the fire to each other, like when we fall off, or like congratulating each other when we stay on. Like because it's like it's not like it's like a small thing. Like when you know someone is going through a situation and you recognize that they're persevering, like it's nice to have like guys support that so that they continue to persevere, and so it kind of like feeds off each other. And for a lot of like our culture, we've just completely lost that. Like we don't have a fraternity. Guys are typically like the ones that have their man cave, and then
Yeah,
like
solitary.
yeah, and just solitary, and then like the wife is the one mingling socially. And like that, I mean that's detrimental to men because we're called to be social too, like not just on Sunday. um the dude pack was probably one of the best things for Ryan. So like she's not talking about my rocking six-pack abs that I got, um uh that did not show through, but that's, I know they're there, I know they're there.
Yeah, they
um
are there, right? They're just hidden a little bit.
yeah. So in Olive brings up a great point. Like I am my brother's keeper, and that is very much at the center of this. Like if it doesn't work, like if it doesn't, if you're not being your brother's keeper, it doesn't work. Like it falls apart if you're not willing to be confrontational to your anchor, or like even in our weekly meetings, which we were really good. Like even during COVID, we were very good about making sure that we went to every single meeting, even if it was just digitally through Zoom at the time. And so like we something would happen, like one of us would fail at something, and if we noticed there wasn't a plan to get back onto moving it, one of us would call it out. And that was so helpful to like, I think everybody, just everybody there. Um because it meant that like, oh no, you can't just take it easy. Like you actually have to be accountable to, I had to actually be accountable to you and Dan and all the other guys. Um and giving a basically a BS report like was a no-go. Like that just was not, like you would get called out if you gave a BS report. Um and your anchor would call you out too. So, but like we didn't really have that problem. Like I think we did it like a few times. Like a few of us did it a few times, but it wasn't much. Like I think our intent was very much like you said, like we didn't know what to expect, but because we didn't know what to expect, we all put in like a diligent effort to follow through with it.
Yeah, yeah. I think just being willing to be open with each other, right? I don't know, that was probably part of it. Being no reservations with each other beforehand, right? there's probably a lot more factors to it that really made our group, one of the ones that actually hung out afterwards, right?
Right.
Did more of the Exodus 90 plus stuff, right? And I think that's one of the main benefits as well. So it just doesn't end at the 90th day, right? There's a lot of things afterwards to keep going with, and obviously not at the same intensity, but the point of it is to reassess where we are, right, and keep growing in our spiritual life.
Well, right. And it's really like it has been like reflecting on it, it has been amazing that we still like meet. Like we meet every few weeks. We don't meet every week, but we meet every few weeks. And not all of us can make it because of where we live, and our family situations have slightly changed. But we make an effort to make sure that we're in contact with each other. And we are supposed to meet this Friday, so I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, that's right here. The harder the men go at it, the better it is. And I think a lot of us have lost that. Like when so just to bring that up to what my wife had said. So like I ended up doing Exodus 90 a second time, and I did it with a lot of older gentlemen. Like I was like probably half their ages when we did it. And the intensity was just like not the same. Like, and it wasn't that these people, like the men weren't faithful in the faith, but like you'd have people who would say, I'm not going to get the app, I'm not really an app person, I'm not going to do the phone thing, I'm not going to check in with each other. And it was just like, okay, well, like why are you doing this? like and then there was another one where I was part of another group, and we were doing a plus, and it just completely, like, the expectations, like there's expectations of like how the group will act, but then there's expectations of quite literally like what we're doing. And if you don't have someone who's going to um, set up like the meetings and make sure everybody's coming to the meetings, like that's going to just fall through. Because like we had, our leader was pretty good about that. And then if he didn't do that, like me or one of the other guys would point it out and say something. But it's like so important to like get the timing right. Like if you're gonna meet somewhere. If you're going to do something, do it. If you don't do, like if you flake, like that will, it's one thing to flake once. It's another thing if you keep flaking, and then like it's just gonna fall apart.
Yeah, and I feel like consistency is key with the meeting, right? It's like we had a set, not set room, but at least a set location, right? A room within the church, right? And having the same day of the week, right? And I think that also helped us keep it, sort of like a weekly thing to make sure we were all going. Because even if it wasn't messaged out, at least we had some inkling of an idea of what to expect, right?
Yeah, and like we got so into it, um, we started challenging other Exodus 90 teams to sports stuff, because like you're supposed to do something with the group outside of the meeting. Um, and like I know you guys ended up doing a hike. I wasn't able to make that hike, but that was like I just heard nothing but good things from the hike you guys did. And then we did other events outside of it. Um, and we tried to get a basketball game between the other Exodus team or Exodus groups that we knew, and all of them were cowards. Just they all were cowards. They didn't want to do it. It was really funny. Um, so hey, good. Hey Hayes. So Hayes is just to let you know, Mark. Hayes is a viewer from Australia, and
Oh,
he's an
cool.
architect. So he drops in. I think now is almost 10 a.m. for him. Maybe not. I don't know if I don't remember if it's 12 hours or 13. But yeah, definitely. It's fun to talk to the chat's really fun to talk to. Everybody's really engaging, and so if you're not engaging in the chat, do it now, because they're having conversations and talking about things like Father Rippiger, like that. That's a thing right now. Sorry, I'm just like,
Shout out to your meme podcast.
yeah. I mean, like
Get a
this is like,
Ripperger meme on there.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and that reminds me. So like, so do you have? Sorry, before I want to bring up something else, but like, do you have anything else you would like to say?
I think we went through a lot. Went through the overview, our experiences. Um, Went through my experience of what was the most challenging, right? Probably the easiest thing for me was, um, well, the music was a little bit easy for me. Um,
Oh, they've changed that since we did it.
yeah,
Listen only to music that lifts the soul to
yeah,
God. It used to be
little
you
abstract,
couldn't
right?
listen to music at all,
Yeah,
or no,
and
you couldn't listen to music with like lyrics in it. There was
that
we were
sounds right. Something like that. It was
yeah, we
pretty
were able to
restrictive.
still listen to music, but it wasn't like it definitely could not be the radio.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say like the fasting part was also a little bit easier on me as well, but I think that's also the benefit of having so many things, right? Different people struggle and have really good standing on some things, and it hits pretty much everything, right? So if you're good on one thing, there's so many more things to improve upon.
Yeah, because like they do kind of feed into each other, um, or at least they kind of. I don't know. For me, like I guess that's really just the electronics, because cold showers don't really feed into the fasting. Um, like, but the electronics, it's just you will be amazed when you start. If you do this, which we highly encourage you to do it, you will see just how much like electronics are in your life. The only thing I would criticize with this system, with what they do, is it got really frustrating sometimes trying to talk to you guys on the phone, because you all just basically threw your phone away from you for the like rest of the day, and like none of you responded until like late at night, and it was just like, ugh, like this is a phone app, and it's saying don't use your phone. Like it's just,
Yeah, that's
what are you
ironic,
doing?
right?
Let's see.
They do have a book. I'm not sure if you knew about that. Exist 90 book. So if you don't want to use the phone, at least the app, right? You still have to probably make a phone call to check in with your anchor, but they have
Well,
a book.
so how would they do the readings though? Because like the reflections on the day's reading.
So they changed it up actually. So the first year we did it, it was different where it was just set readings. So like day one is the same as the day one the year before. So it's not
Okay.
following like the daily readings.
Well, so like for Exodus, so because you had, you're reading through Exodus, but
Yeah.
then they also had, because like what I would do is I would read, let's see, because I think it actually says, so okay, so read Exodus reading and reflection. So yeah, okay, because I definitely remember read Exodus reading and the daily reading.
Yeah. Yeah, that
And
was something they
so,
added
but they've
later on.
they've removed the daily reading, and that's fine, because the main point is to read, because you'll probably get, if you're doing this, you have access to get daily readings and reflections. um yeah, so sorry, I got something in my eye. So let's see. Also, if you are married and you think you can't do this, you're wrong. um So my wife loved the fact that, like, first time doing this, like she absolutely loved the fact that I was doing it. Um, and she saw, like, she's in the chat, like if she says something like that I'm wrong about or wants to support what I'm saying, I'll post it up here. But that it was, she saw the direct benefits of doing all of these things in our relationship and like how I was with the kids. And so like this is absolutely for people who are married, not just single frat boys trying to be chads. Like that's, because like that kind of has a there's kind of that stereotype. And I actually met someone in a weird way. I actually met someone like prior to the second time I tried to do this, and I wasn't gonna call him back for like, because we were like all like trying to set up times and do things and see if we could work with each other. And he dropped out, but I wasn't going to. I was actually going to say, yeah, like we're just not going to be able to do it. And the reason why was, it was really weird, because he treated it almost like a marathon. Like it's a spiritual exercise. It's definitely something that you're supposed to grow in, but it shouldn't be treated where, how do you say it? Like you're using it for yourself only. Like, and you're using the people there as a means of helping yourself. And the guy, like based off how he was talking about it, like he was like, this is my third time, and he like went into huge details, and I was like, okay, well, like this is clearly about you, like, and like I get it, you want to like help yourself, but this is like a group meeting and you're making this all about you. And it was like really weird. And yeah, so
Yeah, and actually along the same point, right? There's the wife clause, right? Which kind of ties into your earlier point
oh
of
yeah, yeah,
being a
yeah,
family
wife.
man, right? It's the main point of this is growing in our relationship with God, right? And then also with our families. And if any of these disciplines are detrimental to either of those goals, it's not worth doing, right? And that's why there's that wife clause where if this is impeding on family time or not helping our relationships even with each other, right, in the group, there were ways around that to where it orients the disciplines towards that goal, right? And that's why we have like things that we are able to not give up every week, right? That we decide as a group, or if our wives, back in, when you were the only one married, right? If your wife was, wanting to watch a movie, you were allowed to do that, right? Because that was for the benefit of your family.
Death Note, like anime.
Death Note, is that what you
Yeah,
said?
yes,
Okay,
Death Note. Yeah. So
not
Mandy
making
was
that connection
watching.
yet.
Yeah,
Oh, that's what the
Mandy
watch.
was
Okay.
watching Death Note, and she'd be like, "Hey, you want to watch?" And I was like, "Do you want me to watch?" And like she's like, "Yeah, come." And I was like, "Okay." And so like she did that during the course of Exodus 90. And so um I got to watch Death Note, but it was really weird because I only got to see like a few episodes every like few weeks. It wasn't at all like in a way where I like understood exactly what the plot was doing, but just because of everything else that was going on. But it was like really funny. Because like you brought that up, and like that was it. That's actually what happened. Because my wife and I both watch anime, so deal with it. But nothing bad, nothing bad. So like getting back to your point though about the wife clause, like the wife clause is like, just to give a, if my wife on Wednesday made meat like for dinner, I'd eat it. The request to come and like the watching Death Note with her, spending time with her, that was also allowed. But like, what is it? That can, I guess I'm just clarifying, because that can easily be abused in the sense of like your, well, like it's just not working out. Like this isn't for me, or like I'm not just part of the group. And what they're really going through is they're suffering the initial break-in of the actual practices, and they're just trying to find an excuse to leave. And so, which happened in my second group that I tried, and it was like, guy, like, what are you doing? No, like, you're fine. Like, you can totally stay here. That's supposed to happen. And yeah, he checked out, and it was like really frustrating because I was just like, but yeah, like, I mean, it's just a matter of, you know, it shouldn't be ruining any relationships. And if it is, like, you do have to like reflect on it and do something about it. Um, but let's see. So yeah, I guess, do you have anything to add to that? Like, cause now you're married yourself. So
Yeah. Let me reflect on that now that I'm married, right? I guess, and a homeowner. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I feel like, when I was doing that and single, right? At least unmarried, there are different challenges, right? I feel like there's different things I've struggled with in different ways, right?
yeah,
Um, like for example, sleep. Just taking that as an example, right? I feel like being married is a little bit easier to regulate the sleep because you have natural accountability for making sure you get sleep together, right? And maybe that's different with kids, right? Because that poses different sleep challenges. But at least being single, there's less people monitoring you if you're sleeping on time, right?
right.
The different disciplines take on you know different aspects if you're married or not, and that's also another beauty of this program, right? It's for every stage of life, right? Whether you're married, unmarried, even
Right.
if you're a priest or not, right? It's good for every man to do.
Yeah, and like that is like probably the biggest thing is like it's good for every man to do. And if you can't do these, I don't know. I do think that these are all like reachable goals. Like these are not like so far outside that you're not able to do all of these. Right? Like it never felt like this was impossible to do. The fight was with yourself and your conditioning, not with whether or not you were able to actually do it. Because like being in a first world country, we're kind of like, you weaklings. Sorry, I'm trying
Yeah.
to avoid using anything close to a swear word because my wife and I are doing like a swear jar. So like if I swear, like I have to put. Anyways, like I'll go into that later, but like some other time. But but the idea of yeah, I never mind. I'm good. I totally screwed that up. I've got like too many things going on in my head. I totally like derailed myself. So
That's the fun of being live, right? There's just raw, raw thoughts here. No filters.
yeah, no filters. No filters. Um so let's okay, so we're past so okay, got it. We're we'll just do this for right now. Um so what is it? There was I just missed it. And I know we're coming up on like 50 minutes. So we'll be wrapping up in a little bit. So I know we've talked about this before. We should start a modern papist exodus fraternity then. So like there's like we've talked about it prior, and um I'm only speaking for myself. I'm not speaking for Mark K here. Um I am totally on board with doing that, and my wife really wants me to do it. Um and I there is going to have to be stipulations, and so it's just a matter of for some of you, you're not in a vicinity to actually have a weekly meeting. Like we don't all live around each other, but I know for Pullard, like he like visited my parish because he lives close enough to visit my parish. And so um, that's definitely a possibility. It's just a matter of we have to figure that out. And I'm keep an eye out for a community post because I will be asking about it. And so on the YouTube, I'll be asking a community post, and we'll try to hammer a lot of those things out, just to get it, because I'm totally on board for doing this. It's just with the certain limitations some of us have, we have to do our best to not like fail at the list that was just up there, and put an honest effort into doing things. Like I know we ended up like for us, I think we ended up in one of the pluses. It may have been during the pandemic, I don't remember, but we ended up doing Fall Guys. Like
Yep.
we'd be on Fall Guys and we'd talk as we're playing Fall Guys once a week, just because like we couldn't come and be around each other, so we would play this game and just have a conversation and hang out. So that was a good compromise and fun, and but that's the type of idea I'm talking about, like for being creative in how we meet with each other. So I'm totally on board for that. It's just all right, great, that would be awesome. I don't mind coordinating running some of the virtual stuff. So yes, that's great. So the last thing I wanted to bring up is, I'm sure you guys remember my friend John, who did the Master's Tale tabletop role-playing game. So he finally got it up on Exodus, or I'm sorry, not Exodus. He finally got it up on Amazon. And so I have it in the description and I'm putting it in the chat. So that's his book. If you're interested in a tabletop game, he hasn't applied any discounts for like Black Friday. I don't know if he can now because he just recently put it up. So I don't know if you missed that, but he put those up. So if you're interested in a tabletop role-playing game done by a Catholic who has a Catholic perspective on how he built his world. So me and him spoke about it this one time, and he explained that just how Tolkien references the Lord of the Rings as a song, because like that's like how the world gets created. It's through song, and God does a song and everything is within that song. He related it to light. So God moves through the prism, and the prism is the expressions of the different groups. It's not paganism, it is monotheistic. His like, as opposed to like D&D and all the other ones where they have like a pagan background, it is very much a monotheistic role-playing game. And how he applies that while using similar terminology. Like, for example, he has like a druid, that it's explained in a different sense in the game. So I'm just going through all of this really quickly to explain, like, this isn't some demonic thing that he's doing. Okay. Like you're not casting spells. You're not doing anything. You're having fun with your friends and rolling dice and being a tank. Like Mark was a tank, like in our last one, a giant tank, a giant fish man. So, like, and I was a dwarf on a horse. So, it's fun, and it's like I said, you're not going to get any of the, well, I didn't say this, but you're not going to get any of the stuff that you don't want your children around in the game or shoehorned into the game. It's very much a, like, what I would describe as proper fantasy, where it's fantasy, but it's like it's reasonable. Like, and I know that sounds weird, but I'm not going to go into the explanations for it. Like, it's just, but it's something, if you're into tabletop role-playing games, please consider my friend's game. We've had fun playing it, and he put a lot of work into it to make sure that it wasn't crap. So it's a good alternative to like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff. So yes, he is. He is in fact a man. So, okay, so
Tolkien is also the man.
I remember seeing this meme where it was really funny, where it's like you get into heaven, you see Tolkien, or no, you get into heaven. It's what is it? It's the one with the WWE owner, the president, and he does the awe face at the end where he's just like and the eyes are glowing or whatever. But it goes in like you die, you go to heaven, you meet whoever, you get invited by them to play a D&D game, and then it's like Tolkien's the DM, and it's just like the whole thing, and it's like
Nice.
really funny. Because like that would be fun. Like, I mean, just the idea of Tolkien like saying, all right, so we're gonna go on an adventure and you're gonna be playing with dice, and it's I'm literally just gonna make it up as we go, and like that would just, yeah, that would be fun. So it's crazy because Tolkien just, so he was raised by, I don't know if you knew this, but he was raised by a priest. Like there actually came a point where he was raised by a priest. And like his, like, it's crazy that his documentary or his like biography movie just did not have like proper references to how influential Catholicism was. And I refuse to see that movie because it's just so poorly done. Like he was a Catholic and he was a faithful Catholic. And when tragedy hit, that priest came in to help his mom. And, you know, like it just nothing but good things to say about such, you know, when priests do that take that extra mile like that, like he did, and it ended up changing the world in a very good way. So great. So I don't know what the UWU means. Do you know what that means?
It's like uwu, right? It's kind of like cutesy type of not,
Well,
you know, not that I know, but
I don't know. I like, I mean, it's not gonna fix you. It's just, but like, I'm sure you know about it, Father John. But it's nothing but good things to say about Exodus 90. Thanks for joining. I just don't know what UWU means. So I don't know, Mandy, if you can bring it up. I don't know.
I think it's just,
yeah, I don't even know what that means, and they're talking about it, and it's like,
I think it just means like cutesy, basically, right?
it's a
the
face.
easiest way.
Okay, Dan, it's just a.
But what does the face mean?
What's
right?
the face mean?
It's an emoji symbolizing, like,
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that. What's the IYKYK?
if you know, you know.
If you know you. Oh my gosh.
We need like a Gen Z on your podcast or something.
Oh my gosh. Cat mouth. So here's the thing, is like you get a lot of people that they really don't like. I agree with you. I think to a certain extent, some of them will do that. But I think the Lord of the Rings has such an allure now. Like the hype of Tolkien is like so good now. I don't think that would affect that much. Like whenever someone gets in the citation, like brings up the different letters, like it's impossible to not bring up him being Catholic. Like when he talks about like the events of what happened, they're all like Catholic feast days. Like the Immaculate Conception, the Assumption, Christmas, the Annunciation, like all of those days are reflected in the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit. Like Frodo starts his journey on Christmas Day. Like, and it ends on like the climax happens on March 25th, which it is the Annunciation, but it is kind of because it can fall on that day. Or I'm sorry, I actually don't know if Easter can fall on that day, but it is also an approximation for Easter because Easter
Hmm.
moves, so you can't put a date to it. So it's used as also like an approximation for that. And so like yeah, the more you like dig into this, the more you're like, man, he was totally Catholic. Like it yeah. Uh yes. Okay, so people are okay. Sorry, I'm just reading uh so okay. If you know, you know. Okay, got it. So I also just because I'm not going to post it in chat. Just when it comes to chat, I will not post things when people say they speak for other people, only because I do think that that's um, an overreach of what to say. Like, saying someone would believe something if they were alive right now is like you wouldn't know because unfortunately, social science is just not a hard science. And so growing up in one time, you may not interact the same way in a different time. So, yeah, it's not a gate. Is there a gate? Like, is there actually like a thing, or are you just talking about this? So I don't know. So, um, whatever. She'll tell me in a few minutes. I don't know. The other, I don't know. I guess the other thing is, do also review the Exorcist Files. I am like my wife and I watch it like every night right now because we're going through it. If you do not, I guess I'm just advertising for a whole bunch of people. But the the Exorcist Files is like the Vatican told Father Martins to do something to explain exorcists, and it's very captivating, and it's very thorough. So um, yeah, they just came out with a book that goes deeper into certain cases. So, and we just got it. I forgot to bring it down here to like show it, but it's um, like my wife and I are really excited about it.
That's a movie or a show?
So, I'll just show it right now. Yeah, it is a show. Exorcist Files. So let's see if this pops up. Um,
Can it be
so
finished before Exodus 90 starts if someone starts now?
yeah, well, so here's the thing. It kind of doubles as a like this is supposed to be catechetical. Like it's supposed to be you're learning the faith in a very dynamic way. So like they'll go into the cases. Like this is like, well, okay, that's a new one. I can't go into that. But there's let's see. No, yeah, I have the holder. So like these cases, like they kind of set up like a brief intro of like what's going on, and then you have voice actors who do it, and then Father Martins occasionally comes in and explains what's happening, and then how it got to that point, and then what he's doing to remedy it. And
This
it's
is
like,
just audio
yep, it's
on
just audio.
Spotify. Oh, okay.
And
Interesting.
so I mean, yeah, if they added like demons and people frothing at the mouth and all that fun stuff, I'm sure that would be a huge turnoff. Just using people's imagination.
Hmm.
And I think honestly, like, because I know me and you have talked about this like for our work, like sometimes it's just better for the audio. Like most of the stuff I listen to on YouTube, I'm just listening as I'm doing work. Like I don't actually watch the YouTube channel or the YouTube um uh Yeah, so it's catechesis but dramatized. The devil is the fifth evangelist by showing us what is wrong. Often this can be more useful at the start of the journey than what is right. Yeah. So and it's definitely like angled at people who are not Catholic or who are not familiar with demonology. Because like you can a lot of the stuff Father Martins talks about, you can get in an incredibly dry form from Father Ripperger. Like that's my opinion, and that's not to say anything about Father Ripperger's presentation, in the sense that it's like bad. It's just pretty straightforward. Like it's very factual information. Whereas this is you're getting involved in the complexity of the situation. You're getting into their lives. All the names are changed and the cities are changed, but it's very much like it's about um, getting into the thick of it as opposed to like more so an explanation of spirit. Like his pot, like Father Ripperger's spiritual warfare was like really influential to me, but it's like I'm not going to say it's not some like you can't exactly just listen to it the entire time and absorb everything because it's just so much information. So yeah, not putting down Father Ripperger unnecessarily. I'm not trying to do that. Like his stuff's been hugely influential in my life. So I think that's it. Unless you wanted to say something. I don't want to.
I think I'm good.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool. So all right, and then I will check chat really quickly. Uh,
Chat, let's make Uwu like a running thing in his show.
oh, of course you had to bring that up. Okay, so like that. Um, uh, yeah, that's exactly. Factually is far drier, but if you're more of the academic lecture type and want to learn certain details, his talks are great. But if sitting with textbooks isn't your thing, yeah, I'm more of an academic in the sense of like I will grind through it. Like if I know that I need to know information or this information seems reliable and I don't know it, and there's a practical use for me to know it, I will absolutely learn in the driest way possible. Like his whole series, like because demonology, if you talk about demonology, you have to necessarily talk about authority, and so that's what ended up leading me down the path of like understanding like my role in the house and how like that line, I mean you even had it at your wedding, like your the line between like when Paul talks about what is expected of a husband, what's expected of a man. And so um I'm sorry, of a wife. And so like this idea of like the head of the house doesn't necessarily mean like you say everything and everything needs to be done. It's that you quite literally will be held to a standard much higher than everybody else in the house, and that ultimately it's your responsibility that things do or do not happen, and you have to be tactful in how you do it. um, and I think Father Ripperger does an excellent job explaining the exegesis of that particular passage. But yeah, all right, so that's so okay, I'm gonna stop with the Midwest goodbye. So I said I'd stop that, so I'm gonna stop it. So thank you, Mark. I appreciated you coming on here to talk about Exodus 90.
Yeah, thanks again for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, everybody in chat and that has watched this. Hopefully, you've learned the practical aspects of this. And if you have any questions, obviously, put them in the comment section. I tend to respond pretty fast. And thank you again for watching. So have a great night. Now we just